This morning, we're focusing on a pressing issue that's affecting Nigeria's construction sector and more broadly our economy, the crisis of unpaid contractors. Now, despite significant government revenue from borrowing and the removal of fuel subsidies, indigenous contractors say they are owed over 3 trillion naira for projects they have already completed. Now, this massive backlog of payment has stalled crucial infrastructure projects, left thousands of workers without salaries, and pushed some small and medium-sized contracting firms to the brink of bankruptcy. To help us understand the scale of this problem and what it means for Nigeria's economy, we're joined today by a key voice in the sector, Mr. Jackson Ifeanyi Nwosu, the national president of the All Indigenous Contractors Association of Nigeria. Mr. Nwosu will shed light on why these payments have been delayed, the impact on contractors and their workers, and what the government can do to resolve these cash crisis. We'll also discuss possible solutions, including accountability measures, better prioritization of payments, and ways to prevent a repeat of this situation in the future. Thank you for joining us this morning, Mr. Nwosu.
Thank you, my sister. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for
All right,
joining us.
let's begin with the basics. Now, many Nigerians may not understand how serious this issue is. Now, can you describe the scale of this unpaid contracts and how long these debts have been pending?
I think these debts, I think we will spend beyond a year now. The last time they paid before we started this, our movement was November last year.
Okay. And
these projects are 2024 capital projects. The first appropriation budget of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And it's very unfortunate that he could not be able to implement his budget up to 50% as we speak.
So you've been able to engage with, the authorities concerning the payment and all of that. So from your engagement with the government, what reasons have been given for these non-payments?
I think they've not been giving us any reasonable reasons, because we've been having different meetings with them. And we're not supposed to even be having meetings before contractors get paid. Most of the funds appropriated for this projects, we don't know where the government is taking them to. Probably the coastal highway.
So before my colleague comes in, I just want to ask you, as the president, what do you perceive the reason would be as to why this payment has not been made?
I'm not working for government.
So there's no conversation that you've had with the government to understand, the problem of this physical liquidity that's going on. Is it probably evidence of deeper structural management, bureaucratic inefficiency, or, budgetary issues?
If you can recall, some few weeks back, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu said 2025 funds, they've gone past, they've achieved, they've gotten beyond their budget plan for the year. So which means they have enough money. Why are they not paying the contractors? That is the issue.
All right. So at this point, as you may have mentioned, that there isn't any conversation between, the all indigenous contractors, right? And as well as the federal government. There isn't a sit down at this point that has happened for you to understand what is going on and where you can move on to.
Okay, now, let me just give you a little preview of our past discussions and all that. The last time we met was 21st of September. Prior to that time, we met on 4th of September. The Deputy Speaker, Benjamin Kanu, the Minister of Finance, Wale Edu, and Babatunde Gujumi, which is the Accountant General of the Federation, and some other key government persons. The 21st of September, they said they will release 760 billion. So they released a warrant of 760 billion, but there was no cash backing to that effect.
So 21st of September of this year or last year?
Of this year.
Of this year.
Most of these projects are 2024 projects. You know, it was extended to December.
Yes.
Yes, of course.
So now, their plans now is to allow most of these things to go into bad debt, which we will not allow.
All right. So far, how has this delay in payments affected the ongoing infrastructure projects that are going on across the country?
Like as we speak now, some contractors don't have the confidence again to complete their projects, because those ones that has been online that they've not paid, what guarantee do you have that when you finish your own, you'll be paid? There are so many abandoned projects all over the place. Those ones that has finished their project, the funds they collected from the banks are accruing daily. So that is why we say no, we'll not allow that. We'll not allow our contractors to die anymore. Last week, we have about 3 of our contractors that died. There's one of our contractors that died. He had a job of over 4 billion in Ministry of Education. He died some few months back due to high blood pressure.
So when you look at this abandoned projects, and this brings us to accountability and transparency, there have been concerns concerning ghost contractors. Am I correct?
If they say anything like ghost contractors, it is coming from the government side.
It is coming from the government. So with your association, how have your association been able to, you know, because when they come out to say that a contract is being given and you are the president of that association, but it's not, you know, going in line with what you see physically on ground, how is your association ensuring that transparency amongst your members? Because there might be some members that will take up this contract and will not execute this contract at the end of the day.
We have a committee that sanctions our members. None of our members will go and take a job that they cannot deliver.
You're so certain of that?
We are so certain of that. Because
so how do you keep records? How do you keep track of that?
We have a committee. Now, let me tell you what happened. A few weeks back, there's one of our members that someone else uses company to do a job. So they pay in fund into that person's account, and he refused to remit the money to the person. As we are speaking now, we are dealing with that issue. So there are so many issues coming from different, areas that we are tackling.
All right, now looking at all these unpaid revenue that's meant to go to contractors, the delays that you're getting, how is it impacting on employees that the contractors are, employing? Have they been able to retain them on board even though, the contracts are not going through, or are they letting them go at this point, causing more unemployment to these employees or contractors?
I think the unemployment rate is growing by the day. Most of our workers, we can no more sustain paying them for doing nothing. There's no more fund. We are trying to pay back loans interest we collected from banks. So it has been very, very difficult. Some of us are billionaires, millionaires, but we hardly get 50,000, 20,000 to buy fuel.
All right, can you put us through the process of, getting a contract all the way to the execution and payment as well, so that we can understand the process and understand where it went wrong from the government side?
Okay, now, the MDAs issue this. They do their publication, their adverts, where the contractors will come and bid.
Okay.
When you get your job, when you get your job, they give you an award letter, you are signing your acceptance letter.
Okay.
You collect the job. If it's a job that you're supposed to put for APG, which is Advanced Payment Guarantee, you put in for Advanced Payment Guarantee. And the government needs to pay you that advance payment guarantee as mobilization to go to site.
So most of the contractors that went to site to start work, were they being paid that mobilization fee?
Most APGs expired. The APG is not supposed to take more than a month for government to pay
back. Okay.
To pay that 30% mobilization to your account. Then most APGs took 8, 9, 10 months. And most of those APGs, their lifespan is like 6 months. So for that full 6 months, none of those APGs was paid into those people's accounts.
So with the recent protest that your association did at the National Assembly, blocking ways and all of that, has the government shown any sufficient awareness or urgency in addressing this problem after that protest?
Not yet. Of course, we didn't block the place. We stormed the place to be able to see our constituents. so I can be able to tell them what we're feeling and what we are passing through. On getting there, the security, they blocked the gates and refused us entry.
All right. Now, looking at this issue that contractors are going through and the lack of funds that the federal government, the lack of the funds that the federal government has not given to the contractors, in respect to, of the loan that are still being collected by the federal government, I know a lot of contractors will say, you're saying that there's no money or we're not seeing the payments that we're meant to get, but the federal government has declared that they are reaching their target, there's so much funds flowing, why is it not reaching our sides? And earlier, there was a report on this protest that you had, and we heard, I think, one of you saying that you would write to the United States, to the United Kingdom, as well as other countries, the IMF, that the federal government does borrow money from. So how do you think doing that would help the contractors at this point in Nigeria doing projects, infrastructural projects?
No, you can agree with me that this government has been borrowing by the day. Daily they borrow. Even when they borrow funds to pay to contractors, probably either they divert it or they use it for something else. So we've not been able to get sufficient payment. Even when they say the other payment they say they did in September, about 230 billion. That's supposed to cover between the gateway, according to them, which is November, December. Most of contractors, about over, I think probably that time they paid about 60%, about 40% of the contractors of that November, December didn't get their payments. So what now happened to the fund? They said they brought in that 230 that's supposed to cover that gateway.
Okay,
go ahead.
All right, I was about to ask, how much is the federal government meant to pay contractors for them to be able to, pick up and continue work?
As we speak, it's over 3 trillion because the last time we engaged with the finance minister, he said what they are owing is about 1.5 trillion. But between that time and now, some other contractors that has completed their projects, if you add it to this one, you'll be getting to about 3 trillion.
All right.
So at this point, what about the employees? How many workers have been laid off or unpaid due to this backlog?
I might not be able to estimate that because each contractors were different. Some contractors have about 20 staffs, some 10, like that. So if you multiply, let me say the minimum of 5 times about 20,000 or 30,000, you can see the multiplier effect of disengagement of workers and staffs.
So I would love to know who in the government, in the authority, do you have access to put this matter forth on the table rather than, storming the gate of the National Assembly and, trying to air out your frustration? Is there a particular person in the National Assembly, maybe the Senate President, or whoever, is there a particular person that you have close contact with that you can, sit with and let that person be the one to help you push this matter on the table?
I think we met with Senator Yomi and Adamu also from Ekiti. We met with him deep before yesterday, and he promised us that we will have a meeting with the Senate President deep before yesterday, and they will call us even at midnight. We waited throughout, we didn't hear from them. That is why we go back to National Assembly that yesterday. So yesterday we were there all through. There are certain personalities that came there, and they said we should come. So let them come down from the car. If you know you are the people's servant, you are serving us, come down, let us know who we want to speak with. They were inside the car, so we said no, we will not talk with someone that is inside the car. Come out and address us.
All right. All right, now as the president of All Indigenous Contractors Association of Nigeria, at this point, do you think that there should be penalties for delays or a system put in place to ensure that contractors are paid on time in the future? For the contractors and the federal government to have that understanding that it is quite important to be timely?
Sure. Because other spheres, when you finish your job, it's not supposed to take beyond at maximum of 8 weeks. You cannot finish a project and they will be you are not sure of where you're getting your funds. They should make it in such a way that if there's no funds, no cash backing, they should not release awards. They should make sure those funds are on ground, and they should return back to the way they used to do it before, instead of taking all the payments to Account General. Account General can be there to monitor the MDAs, not to take over 700 something agencies to Account General to make payment of those agencies, MDAs.
All right.
You see, it's a difficult task.
So at this point, it seems like you're saying for a contractor, after that cashback, for a contractor can start his work on his own dime and then he's being paid afterwards. But do you think that it would be better for the contractors to be paid for the work and use those funds that are being paid immediately for the funds instead of the contractor to source funds and start the job?
Sure, because now, if contractors, if you have assurance that those funds are available, you will notice that even the banks will be chasing us to even give us funds, because they know that fund is available. Immediately you complete your project, you receive your payment. But it's very difficult for banks now, commercial banks, to finance projects because they don't trust the government.
So you mentioned earlier that some contractors took loans to execute projects. How are they coping with repayment pressures, given the delays that they have when they took these loans?
Most of us now are IBP patients due to this non-payment. I have one of my contractors that called me this morning. He took loan of about 120 million. As we speak now, it's about 230. The interest of about 110 million. So that is why we are saying no going back. We'll continue this protest until it gets to the ears of Mr. President.
So when it gets to the ears of Mr. President and then they call for a roundtable discussion, and let's say, for example, the government is saying that, okay, for now, I would be able to clear maybe half of this debt so that contractors can be able to sort out, the issues that they have and what have you, and then they would come back to renegotiate as to how they can be able to complete the funds. That is, if they are saying that there's no enough money to be able to, pay off this debt. Do you think your association is open to that negotiation?
We are open to dialogue, but all we need is prompt payment. We're open to dialogue. We are open to whatsoever roundtable discussion with, they want to engage us with. We are open. But all we're saying, not when government says something else and they do something else, we won't agree to that.
So apart from the protest, what is the structure of your association in making sure that, the government realize that this association is built on a solid ground and they have, records, they have guidelines as to how, if this money is not being paid at the end of the day, if they're going to add, sanctions, penalties, and what have you? Is your association at that structured enough for the government to know that you don't play with these contractors and play with their payments?
I think last week we had a press conference and we've announced to all our contractors to avoid collecting loans to do this 2025 project. Because the same thing you face in 2024, that is what you will face in 2025. All we have is to warn them. We don't have the power to say, contractors, don't collect the job. If you collect it, don't go to site until the advance payment guarantee is honored.
All right. Now, looking at loans, you made mention of how contractors do get loans from banks. When it's time for payment, do banks, give a little leeway to contractors, having an understanding that it is not their fault for not being able to pay but the federal government, or do they still come for their money at that particular time that they need to pay it?
I think the Nigerian banks, most of them, they're into business. They're into business. All they need is their profits. A majority of us could hardly, get those loans because the kind of collateral they request from you will be like 2-3 times higher than what you're requiring. So what we end up getting will go through the private lenders and all that. to get loans from them.
But do they give any consideration in regards to you not getting your payment and not being able to pay them back their money, giving you more time to be able to pay that money?
They do not. Most of them even threaten us to seize our properties and sell them, auction them.
All right.
So what is the way forward now?
The way forward is for us to keep on occupying, keep on asking for our due right. Most of these projects has been completed. Completion certificate has been given to the ministries. They've processed all the payments to the Accountant General. And most of these projects has been commissioned, and most of them are in use by the government. The government takes the glory, while the contractors take the cost and the pains.
All right. At this point, what kind of projects are ongoing that have been halted due to the non-payment of contractors?
So many projects: water projects, boreholes, roads, solar street lights, schools, ICT centers, markets, various kind of jobs, consultancy, training.
All right.
Yeah.
So now, looking at it, how long do you have, or what time frame are you giving the government for them to respond and, give you feedback on what is necessary to be done for contractors? And if that time frame lapses, what is the next step that the contractors are going to take?
But tomorrow is Friday. We're having a general meeting of our members. By next week, if at the end of tomorrow we didn't get any formidable information from them, by next week we'll start going to embassies to submit letters officially, including IMF, World Bank, where they used to get funds from. Let us make them to know that the funds they are giving to Nigeria, they are not utilizing it well.
So what do you think the response would be if you do get to that point of, submitting those letters to the embassies as well as the IMF?
Their response, or the wish of the response, are you talking about?
Their own response from the IMF, what are you expecting for them to
We hope to see them officially
and
and sit in a round table with them.
But do you think that is a good idea? Don't you think, you should adopt another mechanism in solving this issue and getting the attention of the government rather than, writing letters officially to embassies and the IMF? Some Nigerians will say it's, like you trying to open up the internal issues that we have here and taking it out there. So don't you think there should be a better way in sorting this matter?
If you are the one and the government wants to kill you, won't you shout? You shout, let people hear you. People hear your voice. If they want to suppress you in a quiet place, you will shout so you can attract sympathy.
So what message do you have for ordinary Nigerians now who are relying on this infrastructure project or whose lives are affected by delayed works? What message do you have for them this morning?
My message is that let us see how we'll be able to encourage each and every one. It has not been easy. Whatever we are doing, we should know that there's tomorrow. This government wants to kill the local contractors. We are investors. We came here to invest. Some of my friends came from US, Canada, those ones that has the credit facility there. And they felt investing in their country will do them good. But now it is pain. Some of them, now their integrity has been eroded. Some of us, we can hardly go to where we used to get funds from to fund our project. Because they see it as a normal way the government used to treat contractors. It has been that bad.
All right, now looking at, this particular issue that contractors are having with the federal government, what is the difference between the way the federal government, does business with local contractors and the foreign contractors?
I've been trying to avoid this question. It is in the public glare. If government is dealing with, for instance, Julius Berger, they give them almost like 80% to 100% upfront. Most of the projects UK is building, if you can see how fast those projects are going. And they are not owing those people a dime.
So what do you think those people are doing differently that your own association has not been able to do to ensure, that when these jobs are being given out, at least you get 80%
Majority
of your
of the funds
before you go to work.
Probably what we are doing different is because we are not putting their own interests into what we're doing. Probably those foreign companies are putting their own interests, the interest of those that is issuing the job. Maybe that is what we are not doing differently. Because if we are protecting their own interests, I don't think they will be treating us the way they are treating us.
All right, then thank you, Mr. Jackson Ifeanyi Nwosu, the National President of the All Indigenous Contractors Association of Nigeria, and we really hope that at the end of the day, your association and the federal government comes to an agreement as to clearing this debt, and we also wish you guys good luck on that.
Thank you so much.